Hello everyone, welcome you all to the series of MATLAB tutorial. In last session, we have learned about MATLAB text formatting. Now time to shift for the next level learnings about MATLAB decision making structures. We will begin by talking about the basic information about MATLAB decision making. Then we will learn MATLAB if-end statement. Then we will see if-else statement, if-else statement, and finally MATLAB nested if statement. And as usual, for your better understanding, I'm gonna keep this session mixed with theory part along with a live demonstration of the MATLAB scripting examples. So let's start. We will see here what is the MATLAB decisions. Decision-making structure requires that the programmer should specify one or more conditions to be evaluated or tested by the programmer, along with the statement or statements to be executed if the condition is determined to be true. In MATLAB, decision-making structure allow you to control the flow of your program based on specific conditions. And there are different use cases. That is the conditional execution, switch between the cases, loop control, and the function output. Decision-making structure helps to make your MATLAB programs more flexible and responsive to different scenarios. These are the important points about the MATLAB decisions. Works actually. So in general, there is a form of the MATLAB decision-making structure and how it looks. Here we start actually. So when we start, it goes for the condition. And there are two ways to go out of the condition is a true and false. If it is true, then we start executing the statement or specific conditional code which are written under that condition. And then it goes for the next. But if condition is false, then we terminate the program or skip the specific statement or the condition which is written after the condition true. This is how the general form of the MATLAB decision-making structure. Now let's start with the if-end statement. An if-end statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statements. If-end statement is used to execute a block of code only if a specified condition is true. But how is the syntax written in the MATLAB? So here is the syntax. We start with the if and then we write the condition. This is how in MATLAB you can write the if-end statement. And after the condition true, we have to write the code which you want to execute or the statement which you want to execute. Then here is your code to execute if the condition is true. So once this condition is met, MATLAB will jump here to execute this condition, this code and execute this statement. And later that it ends. So in MATLAB, you need to write if, then condition, statement which you want to execute if the condition is true. And at the end, you need to end with this keyword END. This is how the if-end statement works. Now let's go to the MATLAB and see the practical example how this if-end statement works. Now let's see the examples of if-end statement in the MATLAB. And to save your time, I have made very simple examples. The first example I'm starting with, I'm checking if the number is positive or not. To save your time, I have already created the script and I'm going to run that script and explaining line by line and we will see the results, how it works. So in this code, this example checks if a number is positive and display the message if it is. So number is a variable. I'm assigning a 5 value to that variable. And I'm checking here, I'm using the if end. If I started type if and then I'm using the variable and checking is greater than 0, that means this is a condition. If we remember the syntax, how if end works, in front of the if, we need to write the condition. And the condition we are writing here is this number should be greater than, or this variable should be greater than the 0. If this condition is true, then only the statement written to the next line of this if will display or will get executed. So the block of line or the block of codes or the statement written next line of this if condition statement will get executed if this condition is true. And at the end, we need to write the end. So this is how the syntax if, condition, statement, and end. If and end looks a blue color is a keyword. That's the reason it is looking at a blue color. If I write any other condition, if you see here, if it is a blue color, right? And if I write condition like x, y, z greater than or something or less than, let's say anything greater than 11 or something. So this is how you can write the condition. So xyz greater than 11 is your condition, and if is your what do you call that, if is your keyword. That's what it's a blue. And if I write here end, then the error or the warning which was showing earlier here was disappeared. If I remove this end, then here you can see you need to end, and end might be missing, and that also shows after which line the end is missing for matching the if. So you need to enter, you need to write the end to close this if end statement. So let's go by the previous condition. So here is my condition. I'm checking number is positive or not. The number I have assigned is a 5, and we know that this number is a positive. So let's run this section. Now this section is already selected. That's what it's showing the view. If I go for this section is selected. If I go for this section, then this section is selected. I made this code with a section wise. To make the code in the section wise, you need to use this symbol percentage, double percentage. Accordingly, the section get created. Here I started with another section. Here I started with another section. I'm checking the first code. We're gonna check the first code and we will see the result. Now, if I want to run this specific section, then what I need to do? I just need to use the keyword that is Control Enter. Otherwise, right click on this window in the editor window and use this run this section, that is Control Enter. Okay, either way you can do. So I'm gonna use the Control and the Enter. If you see here, we got that the number is positive. Okay, I'm gonna clear this screen. Then I'm gonna save this. I will clear all the variable. Okay, now screen is clear, workspace is clear, and this is our editor. The code is written here. Now I'm gonna run this section. Control Enter. If you see here, the result is positive. Let's write here something else. Let's negative number. Then what will happen? This condition will fall. So it will not run this statement. It will directly end the execution. So if I clear the screen and if I run this section, Control Enter, nothing is happened. Actually, I have run this section. Let me run by other way. Right click, run this section. So you can see because the number is actually negative, so this condition is not true. This statement will not execute, and that is the reason we can't see the statement here in the command window. Now let's do another number with another number. Let's do with the, let's say 9, and run this section. Right click and then you can see the statement, the number is positive. Very simple how you can use the if end statement, and this is how it works. Next is I'm checking for the even number, and this example actually helps you to check if the number is even and display the message accordingly if the condition met and if the number is actually even. Again, I use the variable number. I'm assigning the value. I will assign random any value, and this is the logic written. Now you see the modular command, modular operator is used here, and I'm using the syntax, using the number, and I'm checking if the remainder is 0. That means, this condition will return the value 0 if the remainder is actually, it would be true if the remainder is 0. That is what we are checking here. So mod the number and the 2 If it is equal to 0, then you're gonna display this number is even. Let's run this section. Before running that, we need to clear the workspace because in variable number the value is 9. So I'm gonna clear the workspace. So clear, and let me clear the screen as well in the command window. Now the command window is also clear, workspace is clear. And now if I run this section after entering control enter, the number variable will get assigned with the value of 4 and it will execute this statement, check if the statement is true, then it will display the number is even. Ideally, if we are assigning the 4, that means the number is even. So let's do this. Control enter. And you can see here in the workspace, the value 4 is assigned to the number and we got the statement displayed that number is even. Let's try with the another number. If I go for 5, what will happen? That means the number is not even. So let me clear first the command window as well as clear the workspace. Workspace clear is not required, definitely it will override the value, but for your better understanding I want to clear the workspace as well, command window as well, and now I want to run this section as this number 5 is not an even number, it should not display anything. So for your better understanding I'm going to right click instead of entering the control and enter from the keyboard. I'm going to run this. So you see nothing is happened. The variables got assigned the value 5, but you did not get any message in the command window. The reason is this number is not itself a even number and this condition is false, so it is not entering here. So if and the condition is false, so directly it will jump to the next line of the statement. So it will come here and here we have written end. So it will end, but it will not display anything. And this is how we are checking for the even number. And the last I'm gonna check for the odd number. So this example checks if the number is odd and display the message return next to the condition statement if this condition is true. Now here I'm starting with the number 0, I'm assigning the value 0 and then I'm checking the small number to modular operator and checking if the remainder is 1. That means my number is odd. So let me run this section. I can clear the workspace, I can clear the command window, but let's override this. So I'm gonna use the control enter. You see here, the number variable is assigned with the value 0. What will happen here? This statement will false. So the next statement or the condition will be false. So the statement to the condition, next statement to the condition is a display the number is odd. It will not display, and that's the reason you can't get anything here in the command window. Now I'm going to change this. Let's do with the 1. Okay, and now run and let's check the variable value as well. Control enter. Now the number got the value 1. That's the number variable got the value 1, and yes, the 1 is an odd number, and that is the reason here this condition made true, and this statement, once the condition is true, the statement got executed and it is executed and you got the number is odd. This is a very simple example how if end statement works in the MATLAB. Now time for if else end statement. An if else end statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statements. If else end statement allows you to execute different blocks of codes based on whether a condition is true or false. And that is the beauty. Earlier we are able to execute only one condition, but here you are allowed based on the statement to execute the different blocks of the code whether the condition is true or false. But how is the syntax? So here is the syntax in the MATLAB, how it works. Initially you start with the if, then you write the condition, and if the condition is true, then you need to write the statement which you want to execute, that is the code to execute if the condition is true. If the condition is false, that statement comes under the else. Then you need to write the else and you need to write the condition here. So, or the statement here, code to execute if condition is false. And at the end, you need to write the end. This is very simple syntax to use the if else end statement in the MATLAB. We are starting with if, and then you are writing the condition. If the condition is true, we need to write the statement which we want to execute or the code which we want to execute if the condition is true. In the else, you no need to write the condition, because if this is not true, it will jump here and execute the statement written under the else braces or the else bracket. So here at the end, you need to write the end. It's a keyword actually, END. This is how it works. Now let's jump to the MATLAB and see the example, practical examples, how this if else end works. Now time for if else end statement. In the last part we have seen if end statement example. Now let's look for the if else end statement. So this is the if else end statement, and I already have created the program. I'm just opening that program and I am running here. Again, to save your time, the program is already written, script is already written, and we just gonna run this and see how it works. Okay, so here command window is clear, workspace is clear, and in this I'm checking if the number is positive or negative. So this example check if the number is positive or negative and display the appropriate message written here. Earlier we were able to execute only one condition. The beauty of if else end is you can have the multiple or the possibility to have the multiple statements if the condition is also false, right? So we are starting with if. Here the number is written as a variable and assigned with the value of -3. I'm checking here if the number is greater than or equal to 0. I'm displaying the number is positive or 0. And if this condition is false, then by default it will display the statement written under this else. So display the number is negative. Now let's run this section and see how it works. Control enter. The number is negative, and that's true because this number is not greater than 0 or even not a 0. So what happened? This condition is false, so this statement will not get executed. Then it will come here and it will back automatically, as we have not put any condition here or no condition is there. That is the syntax actually. If you want to put the condition on the else, then I'll make you aware how we gonna write the condition of the else in the next session. So here this statement got executed and that is the number is a negative. Now let's change this number. Okay, so I'm gonna change this number with a positive number, let's say 6, and let's run this section. Here you got the another one. What the number is positive or 0. Because this condition is met, this condition is true, it is displayed, but it will not display here. It will not display because it will not enter here. It will not display this message as the condition is met here. It will directly jump to the end. And that is the reason it displayed the number is positive or 0, and after that it entered to the it terminated the execution. Now let's go for the 0. Same way it will execute. Control enter. You see here the number variable is assigned with the 0, and the message we got the number is 0. The number is positive or the 0 which is returned here. This is how the simple example how if else end works. Another example here, I wanted to make you aware that this example helps you to check if the number is even or not, and according to the message got displayed. I'm starting with the variable number, assigning the value 3, and here I'm checking using again the mod operator and checking if the number is even, then I'm gonna check the reminder should be 0, and in the else definitely if the number is even then number would be odd, so no need to write anything. In the previous code, for writing the program to check the number is even or odd, we need to write the different sections of the different maximum line, like more than this. But here In the one section, I'm writing this. Like in a single code, you can check the number is odd or even. And that is another advantage over the if end statement if we use the if else end statement. So let's run this section. Control. Let me clear first the command window and also clear the workspace. Now no variable is in the workspace. Now let's run this section. Control enter. Number variable is assigned with the 3 and 3 is odd. So this condition actually a false does not meet the condition. So it reached to this statement and executed the statement. Now let's go for 100. Now I'm gonna run this section and the 100 is even. So here we got the statement executed that the number is even, and here the value is also got assigned number variable as 100. This is a simple way to use the if else end statement and a very simple example how it works. Now it is if else statement. In MATLAB, the if else end statement allows you to execute different blocks of code based on the multiple conditions. If we compare the previous, we started with if and then if else and now we are talking about if else and. That means we have opportunity to set multiple conditions to execute our code or the block of codes. And how the syntax works. So here is the syntax. So here we start with the if and then we write the condition 1. Okay. And if the condition 1 is true, then we can write the statement which we want to execute under this condition. That is the code or the block of code to execute if the condition 1 is true. Then else if, and then again another condition 2. And again the statement or the code to execute if the condition 2 is true. And it will come to else if this condition is not true or this condition is not true. By default, the code will jump here and it will execute the statement written under the else. That means here what will come, the code to execute if none of the above condition are true. This is not true, this is not true. If false, by default the code will jump here and execute the statements or the block of codes written here. And at the end, without forget, we have to write the end. And this is how if else end statement works in the MATLAB. We have seen the basic syntax for if else end statement. Now time to jump in the MATLAB and see the actual examples, how it allows you to execute the different block of codes based on the whether condition is true or false, or the multiple conditions can be used to execute the different block of codes. Let's see. Now time for if else end statement. And again, to save your time, I already written the script here. Let's open the script. Okay. And let's check the example written here. I am starting with the grading system, and this example assigns a grade based on the student score. The variable I used is a score, assigning the value 95. And again, you can easily compare. Earlier, we started with if and. In the if and, it allowed only one condition to execute. In if else, we have little more flexibility. Now it is if else and. So if you want to write the condition on the else, this is how you need to write else if, and then you start writing the condition. So this else if, again the else if, else and end are the keywords. And that is the reason it is in the blue color. Score is a variable, 95 is the value assigned. I'm gonna run this section. This section is already selected. I'm using Control Enter. Okay. So 95 is more than 90. So the student got the grade A, and here the grade is A. If I change this value, let's say we go for 75 something. Now 75 is definitely greater than 70, but it is not greater than 80. So let's run this section. Control enter. You got the grade C, right? So that is the reason this condition is false. Grade A will not execute. This condition is again false. It is not greater than 80 when not equal to 80. This is true. 75 is greater than 70, and that is the reason student got the grade C. This is how it works. And if I go for any value beyond this, all these conditions, let's say 35 or 30, 67, not 30, 67, but let's say 37. And if I run this section, control enter, then the student got the grade F because equal to the greater than equal to 60 is a grade D, and below that all grades are F, and that is why the MATLAB executed this statement which is written after the else. So this condition is not met, even this condition is false, this condition is false, this condition is false. By default, the code will execute this statement written under the else, and it will end the program. And this is how we got the grade is F. In the next simple example, I wanted to check you the temperature. Okay, so here this example checks the temperature and categorizes it is low, medium, high. Very simple. Name of the variable is temperature, and then it is categorized. If below 15, then the temperature is low. If it is less than or equal to 26, it is a medium, and if it is greater than 26, then it is high. So let's run this section. Control enter. At the moment, the temperature is medium because it is passing this criteria, and it is this condition is true. This condition is false, so this message will not get displayed, and this condition also will not meet because this condition is met. So it will end up here directly. Once this condition is executed, it will end the if else end statement. Now let's change this value. Let's go for let's say 45. Okay, and control enter. The temperature is high because it is beyond this 26. That is 20, more than the 27 and equal. That is the reason this condition, or that this condition is true and this statement is executed. That means there is no need to write the condition here because both conditions are false. That means by default this condition is true and this statement is displayed. Let's go for the temperature of 5 and run this section, and the temperature is low. Parallelly, you can check the variable assigned. Here the variable is assigned temperature 5. Temperature is equal to 5. That means the temperature variable is assigned with the value of 5. And the last example for your interest I made here, the traffic light system. Starting with the name of the variable is light and assigning this character as a green, and I'm here checking the string compare. I'm using the string compare function, and then checking the variable. If it is green, then I'm displaying go. If it is yellow, I'm displaying the message caution. And if rather than any color, ideally I can go for the red as well, but if any color other than the yellow and green, then it stops. So let's run this section. So initially, the light variable is assigned. You can see here with a value of a green is a character basically. So if I hover my cursor here, you can see 1/5 size of array is created, and it is a character data type. And as this is a green, here you are meeting this condition. Okay, if this condition is true, and that is the reason here we got the message you can go, or you can write like you can go. So for the green, control enter, and here you got the message that you can go. Now if I go for the another color, let's say yellow, and if I run, that means you need to be cautious, and that is the message we got, that is caution. And if I go for another color, by default none of the condition will meet, that is this condition will false, this condition will false, automatically this statement will get executed, that is a stop. If I run this, and you can see here you got the message to stop. These examples demonstrate how you can use if, else, and statements to handle multiple conditions and control the flow of your MATLAB programs. Now it's up to you. Now time for the nested if and statement. In MATLAB, you can nest if and statements within each other to handle more complex conditions. Each if statement must be properly closed with an AND keyword. One of the best use cases for the nested if and statement in the MATLAB is when you need to handle multiple layers of conditions, especially in the complex decision-making processes. And here are some few scenarios where nested if and statements are particularly used. Data validation and error checking, multi-level control systems, complex decision trees, and game logic. These are the use cases. Now let's jump to the MATLAB and see some examples of using nested if and statement in the MATLAB. Here is the nested if and statement, and I'm starting with the simple example that about the grading system. We have seen earlier the grading system, but we used if else and statement. But how effectively you can reduce the number of lines code if you're gonna use the nested if. This is the best example. You can just play the video back, go back and see for the grading system how many lines are used, and you can just come to this section in the nested if and statement, and you can see in very less number of lines you have written the same code for the grading system. This example assigns the grade based on the student score and check for the special condition. So starting with the variable score and return the value 82, and if the score is greater than 90, then the grade A, if greater than 80, grade B, and here the condition is returned. If the score is equal to 85, then the perfect mid-range of the B score, and then else if it is greater than the 70, then the grade C, and if it is not meeting any of the condition, then the grade F. And at the end, whatever the condition is getting executed or the true, then it comes here and print the statement. Okay, now let's run this. Control enter. The grade is B, and here we got the grade is B. Now if you see here, 82 is greater than 80, and that is the reason student got the grade B. And if I go here for, let's say, any grade, like let's say 90, then if I control enter, then it is a grade A because it is greater than 90. Let's say I'll come here for 30, control enter, grade F, because student is not reaching any of the criteria or any of the condition written for getting the grade A, B, C, and that is the reason the student got the grade F. This is very simple example. And if I go for 85 to check for the mid range, that is 85, and if I go to enter, then the grade is, let me clear first, and now let's run this. Here you got the mid range, perfect mid range of the B score here, as well as that is a part of the grade B, because 85 is greater than 80, so this is true. And in the nested part, what I have written, if it is exactly equal to 85, that means you got the perfect mid-range of the B score. And this is the best example how you can do the nested if. This is a nested if example actually. Inside the if or inside the else if, you have written another condition. This is a very simple example. Now let's take for the another example on the temperature side. Earlier we have seen the temperature system. So this again, this is a temperature control system. This example simulates a temperature control system that takes the action based on the temperature readings. I'm starting with the value 78. I have selected this section. I'm gonna run this section. Control enter. Here I'm checking if is a keyword. Temperature is a variable. Checking the condition greater than 70. Yes, it is greater than 70. And that means the temperature is high. Okay. But under that, we have made the nested, that is if temperature is greater than 90, this we need to activate the coolant system. But if the temperature is greater than 70 but not greater than the 90, then we just have to monitor the temperature closely. And here that message we got. Let me clear the screen, clear screen, and again run this section, control enter. And here you can say temperature is definitely high because this condition is true. 78 is greater than 70. This message got displayed, a statement got executed. But if when the compiler comes to the next line, this condition is also true. No, this condition is not true, but this condition is true because here is no any condition. But if it is written in the if else, that means if it is false, by default it will jump here. So the compiler will come here and it will display this statement written under and inside the else. And this is a perfect example of the nested. So under the if, I have written another if with the if else end, and I have displayed this message, and we got this message that monitor temperature closely. Now let's go for the higher temperature. I'm gonna write 95, okay, and enter, control enter. Now again for clear message, let's clear this, let's clear screen, clear CFC, clear window. Workspace, all variables are clear now. Workspace is clear, command window is clear, and let's run this section of control. Enter. Now you see, of course, the temperature is high because this condition, yes, 95 is greater than 70. True. Message statement was displayed here. Temperature is high, but inside that, that is a nested part. If condition return that if the temperature variable is greater than 90, yes, it is true. Activate the coolant system, and here we got the message. Simple example how you can use the nested if end statement. And here is the nested form of the if end, and inside the if another if is written. The last example I wanted to show here is the checking multiple conditions. So here you can see this example checks if the number is a positive and if it is other checks if the number is even or odd. Okay, so in a single program I'm checking either the number is positive, either the number is even, or either the number is odd. That way it is checked here, right? Or the number is negative. Either I can say like number is not positive or number is negative. I will write this statement as a number is negative. Okay, if you remember if end statement or if else end statement or if else end statement, there I need to write the separate program. So complexity in the if end statement was higher than the lesser complexity we found in the if else statement, and then the another lesser complexity we found in the if else end statement. But if we reach to the nested if, very few number of lines are used to determine whether the number is positive, negative, even, odd. And that is the beauty. Here we are starting with the number, checking the condition number is greater than 0. Then we are displaying the number is positive. And this is nested form. Under this if, I wrote if and another condition, modular operator checking the remainder is 0. If that is the true, then the number is even. If the number is not even, by default the number should be odd. And here I'm ending this. If I click on this, it shows which if we are referring, right? The black underscore is here. So this if is ended here. But if this condition is false, then it will automatically come here. So that means if the number is not positive, of course the number should be the negative. And this is the beauty in a very simple and the less number of lines. We have used the nested if statement and cover all the conditions of the positive, negative, even, and odd checking. Let's run this. I'm sorry, let me clear the screen and let's run again this section. So 78 is a positive number as well as 78 is even. Let me go for 79 or let's go for 1003 or 1005. Let's run this. So you see here the number, or let me clear again and control enter here. So number is positive, of course number is positive and the number is odd. It's not an even number. So 1005 is an odd number, but it's a positive number. Let me try with this. If I come here, assign this, and if I clear the screen, come here back to this section, and if I control enter, then the number is negative. Now, number is not positive. Number even not checked for the negative number is not checked for the odd or even, and that is the reason the number is negative. So this condition by default is met and this statement is executed. The number is negative. This is how you can use the nested if for checking the multiple conditions by reducing the number of lines. So these examples demonstrate how you can use nested if-and statement to handle complex decision-making processes in MATLAB. Now over to you. How are you going to use your nested if-and statement? You start with that. After watching this video, I'm sure that you understood what is MATLAB decision-making function if-and and how it works in the MATLAB. What are the different ways to use if-and, if-else, if-else-if, and nested if in the MATLAB? If you are really like this session, then please give this video a thumbs up. To watch more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. Once you hit the subscribe button, you're gonna get the notification anytime new contents like this comes out. And lastly, if you have any queries on these topics you wanna answer me, leave me a comment below. I'll read them all. That's all I have today. Hope you enjoyed and hope to see you next time. Thank you.